By the time you finish watching this video, you will know everything that you have to know to do some successful night film photography. I will show you what gear you need and also how to measure correctly, so you will be sure that you will be successful at this. And if you stay until the end, I will give you some extra tips that I have learned myself doing this. So don't miss out that one, and hope to see you there at the end of the video. Let's start with the gear. So first of all, you need your camera, of course. So today I'm using my trusted Pentax MX. Then you need a good tripod that is sturdy enough so you make sure that your camera will not fall. Nobody wants that. Apart from that, you will need a cable release. So this basically allows you to release the shutter without touching your camera, because we will be doing long exposure, so we don't want to introduce any vibrations to the photo. For the film stock, you can use any film stock you want, but I tend to try to use lower ISO film so I have less grains on my pictures, and the ISO is not that important because we are doing long exposures anyway. And the last thing you will need is a way to measure your exposure. So the way I will show you on this video is using an app that you can use on any phone. So you don't need to buy anything or any of those more fancy light meters that are really not necessary for this. I have installed my camera already in the tripod. Make sure it's properly attached so everything is fixed and secure. So now I'm installing my cable release in the shutter release button, of course. And then come over here to see what settings we are going to use. For the shutter speed, we need to use the bulb mode. Normally it's indicated by a B on your shutter speed dial, so this one will allow us to choose what shutter speed we need. So when we press the shutter release button, the shutter will remain open until we release the button. So in that way we can easily use whatever time we need. And in terms of the aperture, I'm using f8, and that's basically because of two reasons. Number one, most of the lenses are at the sharpest for this aperture, and also we will have a wider depth of field, which will be perfect for some landscape and some scenery. Today I'm using this app. It's called Light Meter. If you are an Android user, this is free to download, and the free version is more than enough. But if you use iPhone, then I think they charge like £7, still not that expensive. So that's the one we are going to use. Next, you open your app. So today I'm using Washi F as a film stock, which is 100 ISO. So you need to input the ISO, so in this case 100, and then you put the aperture that we set up already, f8. And then for this particular scene, you can touch in the mid-tones on the image, and the app will tell you what shutter speed you need to use. So in this case, it's giving us an exposure of 30. So before we can use that 30-second exposure time, we need to account for something called reciprocity failure. So basically, just not to complicate things, this basically means that the longer you expose your film to the light, the less sensitive to the light it will become. So you need to account for that and expose a bit longer. So for that, I use this chart that you can see on the screen. You can save this on your phone before you go out there. So the column on the left tells you what's the exposure given by your light meter, and the one on the right is the one compensating for the reciprocity failure. So for example, in this case, for 30 seconds, then we should use 95 seconds. So that's exactly what I will do now for this particular scene. So now I'm about to release the shutter. So I will release the shutter and start counting the time on the stopwatch on my phone. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. This release cable is very nice because it keeps the shutter down for as long as I want, and then once I'm done, I just need to release it by pushing this little knob down. And now we'll show you some other shots that I made using the same exact technique that I just explained to you. there you have it. It was not that difficult after all, right? Well, now it's up to you to go out there and experiment to see what kind of shots you can get doing these long exposures at night. And the extra tips that I have for you are mainly two. So the first one of them is that if you don't want to worry about reciprocity failure, Fujifilm Acros 100 is a film stock that doesn't suffer from this as long as your exposure are of 2 minutes or less. So if you have exposure time of that length, then you don't need to worry about calculating what's the compensation. You just need to use whatever the shutter speed your meter is telling you to use. And the other thing is that if you are doing this in crowded places, just watch the feet of your tripod so people not trip, because then if they trip, they will make your camera fall down and someone can get hurt. So just be mindful of that and be safe out there where you are trying this by yourself. That was all for this video, and I will leave you here with 2 more videos on my channel that I'm sure that you will enjoy and you will learn from. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.